Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Beyond the Gatekeepers. I am Bishop-elect Vanessa M. Brown, and I am happy to be here with you on tonight. We welcome our Facebook Live audience, our YouTube audience. We welcome Twitter, LinkedIn, and all the places and all the social media outlets where we can be found for Beyond the Gatekeepers. We say good evening to you and welcome. We are so excited and delighted that you are here with us on tonight. And so we want you to let us know where you're coming from. Now, listen, this is the holiday season. We know that we are right in the midst of Hanukkah. In a few days, we'll be celebrating Christmas and Kwanzaa. And so we want to say happy holidays to all of the faith leaders out in the world on today. We say happy holidays, whatever you celebrate, however you celebrate, if you celebrate at all. And so we want to make sure we extend that to you from Beyond the Gatekeepers. We want to also thank you for supporting us on last week. This is our 117th episode, our 117th episode of Beyond the Gatekeepers since May 2020. And so we are so very happy that you're here tonight. Tonight, Bishop Flunder or Bishop Pearson will be with us on tonight. We're going to do a year in review, but you're going to be here and we want you to share. Right? We want you to share because we want to have a conversation about some of the books and some of the authors and some of the films and different things that we've already discussed and how that turned out for you. God bless you all for being here. Let me start shouting you out. We have Sean Jenkins here. Happy holidays to you, brother. Atlanta is in the house. Chuck Hunt from Monroe, Louisiana is here. We say good evening. Y'all do me a favor, start sharing and shouting out where you're from. Albert Reed is here from Killeen, Texas. Welcome. Thank you so much. I know that you've been here with us before too, Albert. Thank you for coming again. Marlene C. McLaurin, a faithful viewer. Happy holidays to you. Baltimore is in the house. Jacoby Morrison from Dallas, Texas is here. Deacon Ryan Amir Harris, also faithful from Cincinnati, is in the house. Karen Boston is here with us on tonight. So glad that you're here. Y'all do me a favor and start sharing. We have Beverly Scott Hudson, I believe from Pennsylvania, but visiting in Bishopville, South Carolina. My cousin is on. God bless you, Reverend Beverly Scott Hudson. Thank you for joining in. Eugene Gathers, Bishop Eugene Gathers is here with us. Amen. We're so grateful that you are on with us on tonight. We ask that you all share this. Betty Jo Williams is here. Bless you. We say hello. Make sure you tell us where you are from, what state, what city. Herbert S. Jones, bless you, brother. Boston, Massachusetts is in the house. So glad that you all are coming in. Again, you could be on Bishop Flunder's page. You could be on the Beyond the Gatekeepers page directly on Facebook Live. You could be on LinkedIn, which is via Kara Solutions. You can be on Twitter, which is also through the Beyond the Gatekeepers page. You can be on YouTube, which is from the Beyond the Gatekeepers page. So people have different ways in which they like to view, which they want to listen. And if you feel like all of it is too much and you just want to listen, you can hear us on Spotify at the end of the sessions. Or you can go back to Spotify to different things that you miss and you can't see, but you just want to listen to the conversation. We are on Spotify. And so I'm grateful for that opportunity. You can catch at least about 10 or 15 shows. We just recently started with Spotify, so we want you to join in with us. And so again, this is our 117th episode, and we are grateful for being here with you on tonight. Memphis, Tennessee is in the house. We're grateful. Glad to see Memphis is in the house on tonight, and all of the great people who have been with us throughout the year. We are so grateful. I see you, Daniel Williams. Peace and blessings to you. The Bronx is in the house. Scott Weber, Oklahoma City. So glad that you are here. Make sure that you continue to share so that we can have this conversation, this year in review. Yes, thank you so much for 117 episodes. We're grateful. We got a great new year that is upon us, that's coming upon us really, really soon, if the Lord let us live. And so we are excited about that. Courtney A. Brown, thank you for your support. Baton Rouge is in the house. Baton Rouge is in the house. God bless you. Thank you so much, Louisiana, for being here. And there are so many others that will join and that are joining us. If you're on the Beyond the Gatekeepers page, we're shouting you out today. We thank you for being with us as well. If you're on our YouTube page, we're shouting you out as well. Let's start out with a year in review. We have done some wonderful things. We've had some wonderful authors who have been with us over the course of the last 12 months, the last 11 months. They have been powerful. They've been life-changing. There's been so much transformation that has taken place. And just reading these books and then getting the opportunity to meet the authors and to hear what their premise was. Bishop Flunder likes to call them the COVID readings, because a lot of the books that were written, a lot of the people that we really highlighted this year that we were able to connect with, they wrote their books just before the COVID or while COVID had been taking place. And so they have been some powerful books. Let's just start off with January 2022. Let's start from the beginning. And we had Reverend Dr. Earl Fisher, PhD, with us. Such a powerful man of God. And his book, A Reintroduction of the Black Messiah. I don't know if you all remember that. If you don't, make sure y'all go back and watch that clip of the reintroduction of the Black Messiah. This brother really breaks it down. That's the first thing. And he talks about, he uses these preaching messages from Albert Cleage out of the Midwest, maybe around 1969, 1970, that he had all of these preaching fodder. And I guess Dr. Fisher said, I'm just going to go back and I'm going to write about this, because this is what Black people need to know about. And so powerful. He talks about the heart of God is the heart of justice. the heart of God is the heart of justice. Just so powerful. Talks about commitment to struggle, right? As Black people, and showing up, and how Albert Cleage, everything was Black Madonna, Black Jesus, and a lot of times we as Christians are afraid to talk about Black Jesus, but Black Jesus does exist, and I don't want to get into a debate about if Jesus was Black or not. I don't have to debate you about that. I can tell you what I already know. But the bottom line is that he gives us, a firm foundation to stand on when we're having these discussions, and how we need to move away from the white Christianity that we've been fed for so long, right? And so I'm just so grateful for him. He talks about reconstruction and recalibration, reconstruction and recalibration. And I'm so grateful for his work and for the things that I've seen him do, and how far I believe that this book is going to go, particularly in seminaries and other institutions of higher learning. People need to understand where we come from, who we are as a people, and there are things that we should never accept. And so he is bringing us back to the beginning, and moving us. He's bringing us back to the beginning and moving us forward, right? So I want, out of everybody that I talk about tonight, and I'm going to talk about so many authors, I want to make sure that you have the opportunity to go and purchase these books. So if you did not have a chance to read these books, that you would make a promise to yourself that you're going to read some of these books in the coming year, so that you can get an understanding of what they are talking about. Again, heart of God, the heart of God is justice. The heart of God is the heart of justice, rather. Commitment to struggle and reconstruction and recalibration. So grateful for Dr. Earl Fisher. Thank you so much. Go back and watch the clip and listen to what he has to say in those two. We did that for 2 weeks in a row. That's how powerful it was. So we want to make sure that you can go back and you can view that. Still, in the month of January, we were able to connect with Dr. Yolanda Pierce, a professor and dean of the Howard University School of Divinity. And I don't know if you read her book, In My Grandmother's House, Black Women, Faith, and the Stories We Inherit. Such a powerful book from Dean Yolanda Pierce. She spoke about her grandmother's faith. I don't know, and y'all chime in with me. Make sure y'all chime in with me. Make sure y'all chime in with me as it relates to if you remember anything about these interviews, and what struck you, so that we can comment and I can talk to you all about it. Yes, and Dr. Tonya M. Ruth. Yes, Amazon and Charis Book is about to get all the money. Yes, we're praying, even if you give it as a gift, right? You want to give somebody. Dr. Yolanda Pierce, she says that this book, In My Grandmother's House, is a subset of womanist theology. And many of you may or may not know, she talks about her grandmother's faith, but she was born and raised in the Church of God in Christ. Born and raised in the Church of God in Christ. She talks about how her grandparents displayed a picture depicting Jesus as a Black man, and how the coloring book someone gave her as a child on Easter Sunday had a picture of a white Jesus on the cover. But before she could get home from church, the book had disappeared, because I guess her grandparents was not having any of that, right? They wanted her to know the truth, and they wanted her to be able to see herself in Jesus as well. And so I so appreciate that. She talks a lot about songs as well. We brought that up. She talks about songs. I don't know if you all remember. I see you, Natasha L. Robinson. Thank you for joining us tonight. She talks a lot about songs, particularly hymns, and how, she's had to take a step back on even some hymns that she sings, like the ones that say, "Wash me white as snow," right? I know somebody say, "Oh, they're just lyrics," but words have power and life. And for such a long time, words have had such authority over us as Black people. What people say, particularly in the church, what the Bible says, what hymn songs have said, everything has glorified whiteness. And so to she makes a point to pull that out in the book as she yes, wash you, yes, Dr. Antonia, wash me black as coal, bless you. Amen. I hear you talking. She talks about as an adult her attending a multiracial, multi-ethnic congregation for several years, but realized it could not be her spiritual home, and that she had to make a departure, from these places, mostly over political differences, So we thank God for that book. She talks about she critiques the Black church, and that's the one thing that we don't like to do. We don't like to critique the Black church, but we should be open to critique, right? We should be open to critique, and she critiques the Black church for restrictions on women, right? Women from the pulpit, and also for ignoring abuses. This was such a powerful book, but one of the things that she did was she expressed hope for the next generation of believers, even as there was some reports that millennials were not attending church. She says she sees hope in the next leaders and the next believers of the Black church. And I see that same hope that she sees. I'm so grateful. Listen, go and get the book. Pastor Sue is on the other end. She is posting everywhere where you can get Dr. Earl Fisher's book, right? She's going to post up where you can get, I believe it's Amazon, where you can get Dr. Yolanda Pierce's book, right? These are books that you need to have, that you need to read, that if some of you are pastors or some of you run any kind of groups, that you all can read together, in a small group, right? Because I think it's so important for us to be able to teach. I see you, Reverend Beverly Scott Hudson says, Dr. Pierce stated, I experienced men who sought to stifle women's voices, agency, and power. Very powerful, encouraging to women in ministry. How many of us have seen that over and over and over again? Men who seek to stifle women's voices still, who seek to stifle women's agency still, who seeks to stifle the power that women can wield in the church. And so I'm so grateful that Dr. Pierce spoke out and up about these things. I see Sean Jenkins says, I can't wait for 2023. My first book taken from discussions on this platform will be released. It will ignite a demanded change within Christianity and especially the indoctrinated Black church. God bless you, Sean. Thank you so much for that. Amen. Remember, Dr. Yolanda Pierce. February came around and it brought me such great joy in the month of February. We had such wonderful people as well. Our guest was Reverend Dr. Irie Lynn Sessions, award-winning minister, pastor, author, spiritual interpreter, entrepreneur, and womanist practitioner. And she has the book that she did in collaboration called The Gathering, a womanist church. And so sometimes, matter of fact, a lot of times, when you want to close the door on women, we'll find a window to go through. Come on. We'll make a hole in the roof like Jesus did. Come on. We'll do what we have to do to get whatever we need done. And they created their own church. Everybody was welcome in this particular church. So where they had been closed off and cut out of church and out of spaces and places, Dr. Irie Lynn Sessions and some of her friends and some of her women preacher friends, they were having none of it. They created an environment that was a welcoming place and a gathering place for all people. And she breaks down what that is and what that was like in terms of starting that work, in terms of them gathering, in terms of having a womanist ecclesiology. Just a very powerful book. If I don't know if others out there were able to read Dr. Irie Lynn Sessions' book, but very powerful book. I hope that you all were able to read it and to move forward as it relates to the book. And now we're going to keep it moving. Oh, so many books. Shouting in the Fire, an American epistle by Dante Stewart. I love that young man. He just got ordained not that long ago. I believe it's been a couple of Sundays, if it's just been one Sunday ago or two Sundays ago, but a powerful brother who uh shouting in the fire. He wrote this in the pandemic. He wrote this actually before the pandemic, but he talks a lot about where he is and what he has done and how he has been able to move through um being a part of white churches and everything. And so I really appreciate him. A powerful young man. I'm telling you, you've got to get Dante's book, Shouting in the Fire. Shouting in, let me just tell y'all, it's on Amazon. I can tell you that right now. Powerful brother. It's a stirring meditation of being black and learning to love in a loveless and anti-black world. Like, I just love that, right? Just as a black man, he has a young son, if I'm not mistaken, and he's a married man, but he is open and he's affirming, and he's just a powerful writer and author. I know that there'll be more books that will come from him. He talks about uh, things that happen, in our world, when there was police violence, against black bodies. He talks about uh, reckoning with the legacy of white supremacy, white nationalism, white Christianity, how he had to leave the place that he was in. A very difficult time for him as a young black man. He's a very young black man, but the Holy Spirit has his hands on Dante, and we're going to hear a lot more from him and a lot more from his work. Listen, if you missed him in any shape, form, or fashion, you missed the conversation. You want to make sure that you go back and you listen to Dante shouting in the fire. And I thank Pastor Sue for posting up just a powerful epistle. Bishop Flunder often talks about uh, writing a new canon, and that's something that we need to do, and we need to contain letters from Birmingham jail, and we need to contain, other authors and books. I believe that Dante's book is something that other young people will want to read because it's talking about the truth of life and the truth of things that have happened in our society and in our world and in our churches, and how we can gloss over things and how we can, try to make racism disappear because we say we love you, but it doesn't disappear because you're a white person and you say that you love me. Racism still abounds in America every day. Somebody is experiencing racism in some form or fashion, and even in our churches. And so we have held up the mantle of white nationalism and white Christianity for too long. And so now it's time for us to shift. And I believe that that is what this author is calling us to do, to shift. Yes, shouting in the fire. So yes, we're on fire, but we still got to praise. We still got to, we still got Thanksgiving. We still have victory in our lives, but we also don't want to always live like this. We also don't want to be in this same situation over and over and over again with countless deaths, countless people dying, countless people being killed. And so please get the book, Shouting in the Fire, an American Epistle by Dante Stewart. Make sure you get it. Moving right along, we have Sissy Insurgencies. Sissy Insurgencies, a racial anatomy of unfit manliness. Now, let me tell you something. I enjoy Professor Marlon B. Ross. This is such a powerful man, and what he has done in this particular book and in our conversation, rather than collapsing sissiness into homosexuality, Ross shows how sissiness constitutes a historically fluid range of gender practices that are expressed as physical manifestation, discursive epithet, social identity, and political phenomena. I love the way he turned it on its heel, because you'll hear people say still today, it's an old word, but still today people use the word to make people feel bad, to make people look bad. But he has turned this particular word on his heel. He talks about his childhood, him growing up and being called a sissy, him being very smart, growing up in Jim Crow. So, growing up in a segregated town, but going to an integrated school. One of the few blacks that was in this particular school, I believe it was in Virginia. And he talks about the struggle that he had to go through being very smart, being a very smart young black man, and how even people in authority, who were principals and teachers, belittled him because they considered him to be a sissy. It's a great book to have. It's a great book to give to a young person who may be going through something. It's a great book to have in your library. It's a great book to teach on and to teach from, if you have the time. Yes, Marion Ross was a great guest. Thank you, Chuck Hunt. We appreciate that. He was very, very powerful. And so we encourage you to get his book as well, Sissy Insurgencies, A Racial Anatomy of Unfit Manliness. Powerful book, powerful author. Then we have, still in the month of February, he is a friend of ours, our Professor Yosef Soret. He is a professor of religion and African American studies and African diaspora studies at Columbia University in New York City. And the name of his book is The Sexual Politics of Black Churches. The Sexual Politics of Black Churches. And listen, you got to go back and listen to that conversation. We've had, probably was on this back Beyond the Gatekeepers for well over an hour, talking about this book. And Yosef is just wonderful in how he depicts this book and what he has to say. And there are other people who also join in on this book. I believe that Bishop Flunder is also in one of the chapters in this book, and so many others that I know that are also a part of this kind of anthology for the book. And so we're grateful for Yosef. We're grateful for his book. And this is the thing that we don't want to talk about in the Black church. We don't want to talk about sex. We don't want to talk about sex in the Black church. We don't want to talk about the politics, the sexual politics of Black church. And we've got to learn to have these conversations. And they need to be conversations that are not punitive conversations, but conversations where people are comfortable. We need to create space where we welcome people in to have these conversations around sex and sexuality and gender performance and all of these things. There's so many things that we need to learn, so many things that we need to know. And so I am encouraging you to get the book, The Sexual Politics of Black Churches. Get the book. Give it as a gift to somebody. A lot of people are free. You found your freedom in your sex, in your sexuality, in your whole life. Even if you don't if you're not LGBTQI, you have found your voice, right? And so you need to be able to extend that same freedom that you have to someone else. How can you do that? Well, you can't. You can do that in a conversation. You can do that in a conversation, and you can do that with a book, right? And encourage them to read the book, or say, or start a book group. So many people didn't know. That's right, Dr. Deacon James. Free people, free people. So many people did not know about so many of these things until they picked up a book. Yes, you are welcome. Somebody said, thank you for sharing the links to purchase the books from throughout 2022 and Beyond the Gatekeepers. This will be a great resource library for many of us. So you could start a group. You could start a group in your housing development if you live in a housing in your neighborhood. Or you could start a group online. I mean, we're here in the digital age of media. So there's so many things that you can do to have these conversations, these little group conversations, so that people can get an understanding. The scripture says, with all that getting, get an understanding. And so I want to encourage you all to make a purchase of these books, give them as gifts to somebody that you know need it. Maybe somebody is struggling, maybe they're not struggling, but maybe they need to reflect, on some of these things. Whatever it is, make sure that you give someone the books that I am offering to you as well. Again, free people. And, I am of the persuasion that I am always willing to help people, but I would like for people to be free. I want them to be free, right? My heart breaks when I hear young people and older people, because it's not just young people, it's older people too, who are still don't have an understanding. Even some parents need to get this book. If you have a child that's LGBTQIA, so many letters, but if they fit into any one of those, you need to get this book, The Sexual Politics of Black Churches. I could say more. I want to say more, but I'm going to keep moving. But I know that I'm going to get back to this, because this is not the first time that we talk about sex and sexuality and the sexual politics of Black churches. Thank you all so much. We're going to move into the month of March. And in the month of March, we had Dr. Stephanie Buchanan Crowder, scholar, speaker, and author. And she has a book called When Mama Speaks. And when I tell you that it is an incredible book, it is an incredible book. She tells her story. So powerful. She tells her story, and she tells the story of her mom, and she talks about mental illness, which is also not always discussed. This is a book that will lift you and will lift your spirits. It will make you cry. It will make you laugh. The way she uses womanist theology in this book is just so powerful. And I know that she is a professor at Chicago Theological Seminary. And I was trying to figure out what author I could have and who I could use. And I was so grateful that a young man, Quincy Reinhardt, you all may know Quincy. Quincy gave me her information and first told me about the book, and then I tracked it down, and I was like, listen, I got the book, and I have read through this book, and I want you to be a guest. Such a powerful book. Listen, this is a great season, a great time of the year for somebody that might be depressed, somebody that's low in spirit, somebody that's blue, right? We have people having blue Christmas services all over. This is a great book to give someone. Please make sure that you stop and get this book. It is When Mama Speaks, the Bible and Motherhood from a Womanist Perspective. And it is so powerful. It is so life-changing. And I'm so grateful to have been gifted her into my life, to be able to invite her to come to this show. Very powerful. Thank you so much. And then there was this journalist, and I was reading, because I'm always reading, and I was reading, and I was, contemplating, and I read this article, and it was A Twisted Love Story: How American Evangelicals Helped Make Putin's Russia, and How Russia Became the Darling of the American Right. And I said, this article should be turned into a book. But since it's just an article, it's all right. I'm going to invite the writer of this particular article. I tracked her down, Catherine Kalidas, writer and scholar, powerful woman. And she came and she talked to us. We talked about white nationalism. We talked about evangelicals. Bishop Pearson was able to really break it down because many of you know that he's come from that world, so he understood it. And Bishop Flunder added her spin on things on how really we helped Russia in the elections when we voted for Trump and all that they did in our elections and how they tampered. I'm telling you, the article is amazing. You can Google the article, religiondispatches.org. Get the article. As a matter of fact, Pastor Sue is putting it inside the comment sections. Inside the comment sections or inside your chats. It's everywhere. It's there. Read that article. It is so much insight into what happened and what is still happening, right? What is still happening? We know what is taking place. We saw how Russia became the darling of the American right. We don't even understand how it took place, but she explains it. She talks about it. She opens up our mind, yes, to much of the war in Ukraine, and which is just a whole nother thing. And still tragic, still sad, still going on. And so we need to educate our own selves. We don't need to let the news keep telling us everything. Sometimes we got to do our own research and find out for ourselves. And so I'm study reading articles. I do watch the news, but I'm reading books. I'm trying to get the information, and I'm trying to get the people who are gathering information, those who are the writers and the scholars and the theologians and the journalists and the filmmakers together, so that we can have relevant conversations about what's going on in this world. This was a relevant article. It was a relevant conversation for such a time as this, for the times that we are living in right now in America. And so I appreciate that. Yes, Colette Walker says this was so good. Collidus was so knowledgeable and definitely connected the dots to a much bigger picture. She took us back to the days of Constantine. She took us back to the Byzantine Empire. She was incredible. And so if you do me a favor, read the article, but also follow up by looking at Beyond the Gatekeepers. She was very powerful. And in the month of March still, I met Tracy, Michelle Lewis Jiggets through Dante Stewart. He said, I got a friend, and you going to want her on Beyond the Gatekeepers. And boy, oh boy, I have never been so blessed. She's a professor of English and Black Studies at the Community College of Philadelphia, but she wrote a book. And that book is Black Joy, Stories of Resistance, Resilience, and Restoration. This book, I'll tell you, will transform your life. This book is a powerful book. She talks about her stories, her life, things that she's been through. And when you read about somebody else's life and you read what they've been through, you read their stories of resistance, their stories of resilience and restoration, you can see yourself. Some of her stories are our stories. Some of the things that she's been through are some of the things that you've been through. Those stories of resistance and resilience and restoration, how God can turn things around and bring you back to a place where you need to be. She's so inspirational, so powerful. We'll see what's going to happen, but during convocation, we're hoping that we're getting some of these authors to Atlanta, all in one room, just a few of them, so we can talk a little bit more about their books and interview them a little bit more and go a little bit more in depth with you all live there. Of course, we'll be online as well, but with you all live. So we're looking forward to some of those things happening prayerfully in Atlanta as well. Get the book Black Joy. I'll tell you, and that was something to hear as we were coming through, because we're not really through the pandemic, but as we were coming through the pandemic, after so much death, after so much sorrow, after so much grief, after so much loss, for somebody to write a book on Black Joy, make you want to run and shout. Stories of resistance, resilience, and restoration. God bless you, Tracy. Thank you so much. I want you all to make sure that you get that book. And I had the privilege of showing a film. I was talking about how I wanted to get some films, and I was talking about how I needed to get in touch with some people. And I met Dr. Kelly Brown. She's a senior pastor of Plymouth Church, United Church of Christ in Seattle, Washington. And we got to talking, and she said, well, I got a film for you. Take a look at it. And I took a look at it. It's called Since I've Been Down. If you haven't seen it, try to Google it to figure out. It's a documentary. And it is the documentary of the life of Kamanti Carter. Kamanti Carter. And Gilda Shepherd is the director. Gilda was on with us. And I'll tell you, such a powerful conversation about the criminal justice system, about how you can take somebody down a long road unnecessarily without all the proof, or even if they did do it, how you want to keep them incarcerated for the rest of their life. This book is powerful. It's a powerful story of some young people who were not in the right place at the right time. And something bad happened. And when something bad happened, it caused them to go to jail. And so his life has changed. He is doing stuff within the system. At the last time, at least in March, he was still incarcerated. I do not know if he's been released since that time, but I do know that in March, Kamanti Carter was still incarcerated at that time. But he had done so much good work within the penal system, around the criminal justice system, and around learning and education. He was able to better himself, but he didn't just do it for himself. He was able to help a lot of the other inmates that were with him there, and they created a program, and just so powerful. Watch the documentary. Such a powerful documentary for those who are fighting, for justice. You're fighting for someone, that's been unjustly incarcerated, or who has actually did what they said he did, or what they say she did, or what they say they did, but you still want to be able to have that conversation. Somebody just said that Kamanti has been released. So praise God that Kamanti Carter has been released. We're so grateful. As of March, he was not. But now, 8 or 9 months later, we're so grateful that this brother is out, that he'll be able to spend Christmas with his family and do some of the things that he has always wanted to do. I know that he is still giving back to community, and that is powerful. So grateful. And I know he owes a world of thanks to Gilda Shepherd, because she didn't give up. She kept following the trail and following the line and following the trail and following the line, just as a director. She didn't know him. It's not a relative, somebody that she felt was being treated unjustly. And also Dr. Kelly Brown. Again, if you have a moment, watch the documentary, Since I've Been Down. Somebody said they watched the replay today and looking forward to seeing the film. Hallelujah. Thank you, Maria Harris. Hope that you get a chance to watch it. April. Oh, we had this wonderful young gentleman. He was referred to me, Reverend Christopher. He's a senior minister of Covenant Christian Church in Cary, North Carolina. And the name of his book is Straight White Male, A Faith-Based Guide to Deconstructing Your Privilege and Living with Integrity. They wasn't ready for Reverend Chris, because Reverend Chris broke it down like 4 flats. He told the truth about how it needs to go down with white folks, how it needs to go down with straight white men, and what the truth that needs to be told about what they need to do to deconstruct their privilege, right? And to live with integrity. And when I tell you that it is a powerful book, again, also a book that, you can refer to some of your white friends and say, come on, didn't he slay that conversation? Yes, he did. Go get that book and give it to some of your white friends. Yes, I said it. Give some of your white friends who they need to deconstruct their white privilege. They need to deconstruct their privilege. Give that book This man understands. He understands how it works. A straight white man wrote this book. He understands how it works, and he breaks it all the way down. This is a gift, right? This is a gift that you can give. You can give it to somebody that's black too, so that they can see that there are actually people out here doing the work. Listen, we can't do the work by ourselves. I know you think we can, but we have to do the work together. And this brother is doing his own work. He's doing it in the right way. And I want you to support Reverend Chris Furr. I support him because he's supporting us. And he's trying to decolonize and deconstruct these white churches and white folk and trying to get people in order. Because yes, you can't expect us as black people to talk to your people. We need to talk to our people, and you need to talk to your own people. And you need to figure out how you're going to do that. Yes, James Thomas Perrin, we need more like him. He is not afraid. And I'm sure that there have been many people that have turned their back on Reverend Chris Furr for the stance that he has decided to take. But he has taken this stance because he understands and because he knows that this needs to be deconstructed, and it needs to be done right now. So yes, buy this book. Somebody said they should buy the book and send it to Donald Trump. Well, you can do that. I don't know if he'll get it. If he saw it, he might incinerate it or burn it on the spot, but it doesn't matter. If you know somebody that can benefit from this book, I encourage you to please be sure that you gift them this particular book. Again, Straight White Male, a faith-based guide to deconstructing your privilege and living with integrity. Thank you. And this is the book that caused all of the flurry and the fire. Red Lip Theology for church girls who considered tithing to the beauty supply store when Sunday morning isn't enough. My God, today. Listen, Candace Marie Bimbo, powerful. I think she posted up something the other day. She's gonna be writing for somebody. Somebody look it up. Tell me what she said. She's gonna be writing her article or religious dispatch. I think that's who it's gonna be. Something like that. She's writing for. I'll tell you, this book is just solid. It's powerful. She talks about her hurt. She shares her pain in the black church, right? She talks about how people talked about her. I mean, she talked about what's going on in the church, what's going on in Christianity, what's going on in black churches. It was the bomb. It was, somebody said solid. Yes. Listen, I was completely blown away that day. All we were doing was giving away one book on that night, like I always do, until somebody, I can't remember who it was, said, I'll buy a book. The first person, and then it was just like an avalanche. It just started just rolling down. Such a blessing, a powerful young woman who is a scholar, a writer, author, has a great theological mind. And if you missed that conversation, yes, Minister David, I was blown away too. If you missed it, you need to go back and you need to listen. Because, yes, Cheryl Robinson Moore was so powerful. A lot of times we want to gloss over what the church has done, the harm that the church has caused. We can't gloss over it. We got to be able to talk about it. We got to be able to name it. Come on. And then we need to, after we name it, we need to be able to heal it, fix it. We can't just go on like nothing ever happened. And we do that so often. So often. She talked about tithing to the beauty supply store. I know folks that's tithing to brunch on Sundays because they're not getting what they need in church. So their tithes go to brunch. And they have gatherings amongst themselves. And I'm talking about young people and older people too, because they're not getting what they need on Sunday morning. And she was able to confront her hurt and her pain and let us see and put it on full display. I am grateful for her honesty, her integrity, the way that she just let it all out. She just let it all out. And this was Candace's story, but this is a whole lot of people's story. Maybe not the exact stuff that happened, but the way people act and what people do and how people try to destroy you in church. She was powerful. Red lip theology. Let me tell you that you need to go and you need to get that book. She pushed back at so many things, so many teachings. So powerful. Red lip theology. You need to gift it to somebody. You need to gift that book for sure to somebody else. Thank you, Candace, for coming on. We appreciate you. And then I had something that I knew was going to be controversial, but I feel like we need to have a conversation about it. It's a book called Hope and Healing, The Case for Cannabis. And Dr. Joseph Rosado was the person who wrote this particular book. I recommend that you get the book. Now, let me just say to everyone, you don't have to be for cannabis. What we talked about in this book are how cannabis can heal and all of the remedies. He makes a case for it and shows how it works and how it can be used to turn diseases around and how it can be used for depression and how it can be used for mental illness and how it can be used for so many different things, because there are so many different properties in cannabis that can be used for healing, and he talks about it. It's such a powerful read. It is something that you want to have in your library. It's something that you want to be able to talk about. Right now, cannabis, well, it ain't just right now. It's always been $1 billion industry with a bunch of black boys going to jail. Now it's a multi-billion-dollar industry, and they trying to drop the charges and release young black boys for selling cannabis because they got whole people that got acres and acres of land growing marijuana. Come on. I know I'm talking right. And so, yes, Dr. Jamie Edie Chisholm, it can be a gift. And to some people, it is a gift, no matter how you feel about it. It is a gift to them. And so I want to encourage, because I'm going to have this conversation again. By the grace of God, I'm going to have this conversation again, still making yet another case of cannabis. I know y'all done read it and heard about it already, how Dr. Jamal Bryant wants to use the campus and all of the acres of land that New Birth own and have a medicinal clinic on that property, and how he wants to grow cannabis and how he wants to, yes, bring young black men back to the church. And this is the conduit that he wants to use. Now, before y'all, I can't go back and forth because this is not the show to do it on. We're going to do once I'm trying to get him to come on and have this conversation with us about it. I think it's a worthy conversation. It's not a conversation to beat him up, but it's a conversation to see the direction in which he wants to go in, and so we can talk deeper about it, right? And so I want to be able to do that. We're working on what we're working on. Y'all pray for us. Deacon James Thomas Pierman said, when my brother was dying with AIDS, cannabis was a wonderful gift for his health. Amen. And I know that about so many people. People that are dying of AIDS, people who have all kinds of cancer. It is a discussion that needs to be had. If you don't smoke it, it's all right. But let us be able to talk about it so that this could get in the right people's hands. This conversation needs to get into the ear gate of some of the right people so that we can move forward, right? They're making billions and billions and billions of dollars off of cannabis now. Yes. Yes, Dr. Jamie Edie Chisholm. It's also helpful in topical solutions. It is. You don't always have to smoke it. You can put it in food and all kind of things. But okay, I don't want to make the show about it. But yes, cancer patients, Dinah Chapman says, have found relief. Yes, they have gummy bears. Yes, all of those things. Information is wealth and information is power. And we need to go ahead on and liberate people. Part of the liberation, free people, free people. Part of the freedom and the liberation is like we really got to be free. We can't just stay locked down in one area and locked down on this area and locked down on that area. We really, really, really got to set the captive free. And sometimes the captive is us. And so, yes, brownies, bless you. I hear you. Hope and healing, the case for cannabis. Make sure you get it. Joseph Rosado. I'm gonna keep moving. We had bless him, Dr. Marvin A. McMickle. He is a theologian and a scholar, and he wrote an article as well. It appeared in a Cleveland newspaper, but I just happened to get a chance to read it. I believe that Bishop Flunder also had read it, and she was sharing it with me, and I was sharing it with her at the same time. A missed chance at racial unity. You have got to go back and listen to Dr. Marvin A. McMickle and listen to this conversation about what he was talking about. And we know we can go all the way back to Azusa. We could go all the way back to Church of God in Christ and hear all of these. Yes, he's your mentor. Bless you. He is a gift. He is a gift. He is such a nice man, such a very, very nice man. I mean, answering all his own emails, people calling him all around the country. You know, he answered me directly. I didn't have to go through anybody. I went directly through Dr. Marvin A. McMickle, which was a joy. And he didn't put me through no changes. And he said, I will be right there because we need to have this conversation. I want you all to go back and listen to it, please. And I know that Dr. Marvin A. McMickle also has books. You can Google him. You can Google him, and all of his books will roll right on up, and you will see all of the books that he has published, that he has written and had published. Please, please, please don't miss that opportunity. We moved down to the month of May, and we had Body Becoming, a Path to Our Liberation. Body Becoming, a Path to Our Liberation. And I am so grateful for Dr. Robin. So grateful for Dr. Robin. I know Dr. Robin had I know, so what they said, what is she doing? I need to make sure that I know what I'm saying here. And I can't find it right now. Hold on. Give me 1 minute. Because I want to be correct. Dr. Roberto Henderson Espinosa. Dr. Roberto Henderson Espinosa. So glad. Powerful book. Enjoyed it. Loved it. This is a path to liberation, and not because she said it, but because it is. Talks about her their Latinx heritage, where they came from, you know, their life as a trans person. And I could tell you that I am so grateful for Dr. Roberto and what God, Spirit, Goddess is doing in. I know what the name is listed as, Dr. Perry, but I know something different as of now. They have changed their name. And so I am grateful. That's why I said I didn't want to repeat the old name, but so grateful for this work. This is a great book. Please, please, please purchase this book. We also had in the month of May, Reverend Dr. Christopher Carter, assistant professor of theology of the University of San Diego, and the lead pastor at the Loft at Westwood United Methodist Church. He wrote a book called Spirit of Soul Food, Race, Faith, and Food Justice. We talked about food. We talked about faith. We talked about race. And he talked about he's a vegan. And he talked about just, even though he's a vegan, what food has meant to Black people for our liberation. What faith has meant to Black people for our liberation. He talked about race and what that also means. Powerful book, powerful man of God. And you gonna want to go back. If you did not watch it, you're gonna want to go back and listen to that conversation. Again, I told you can go to Spotify and just listen, or you can go to the Beyond the Gatekeepers page, or you can go to Bishop Flunder's page, or you can go to the LinkedIn page at Carver Solutions and listen in on all of it. Yes, that's all right that you missed a few episodes. You can always go back. I'm telling you, Dr. Jamie Eady, powerful, powerful, powerful. Get the book. We're going to move down to June. And we had Julio C. Roman, safe space expert and LGBTQIA rights activist and advocate. He has a book called Out of Space, Creating Safe Spaces in Unlikely Places. I love this book. You can use this book. A lot of community-based organizations use this book, but you can use this book as a church, just like you use the 12 Steps of Radical Inclusion, which also talks about creating safe spaces, creating welcoming spaces. But this is a book that's going to talk about creating safe and welcoming spaces. He gives such great insight. I know Julio from his former work at NJCRI in Newark, and work with a lot of young people, a lot of young adults. And so we thank God for Julio and his work and what he has done. Please get his book, support him. Go to Amazon and get this book. If you're trying to create radical inclusive spaces, if you're trying to create safe space, you may not know everything that you need to do. He gives you an outline. He tells you how it's all going to work out. And then we had our beloved Lenny Duncan, writer, speaker, scholar, and media producer. He's got a book. He's got several books. Dear Church, a love letter from a Black preacher to the whitest denomination in the United States. That denomination happened to be the Lutheran Church. And Lenny Duncan was having none of it. He lets them have it. And he lets them know, as a Black preacher on the front line in Portland, Oregon, on the front line, when George Floyd was killed, on the front line, all of the protests, that they need to do better. He just came out and told them, and he told them in this book that they needed to do better. I appreciate Lenny Duncan. He's got another book, I think it's called The Divided States of America, or something like that. He's got a long litany of books, but this particular book is what he came on the show for. It's called Dear Church, a love letter from a Black preacher to the whitest denomination in the United States. And then we had Dr. Breonna K. Parker, faith leader, scholar, and data activist. She has a book, I Still Believe in the Black Church, using data to decode the promise and pain of the Black church. And I'll tell you, she was able to really do a deep dive into this and give us some powerful information. Again, information is power. If you run a Black church, if you have a community-based organization, if you want to know about data, listen, if you're trying to get money, you need the data. They give money based upon data. You need to be able to read this book. Every pastor, bishop, apostle, anybody that has an organization, I don't care who you are, go and get this book. You need it. You need it for your library. Go on and pick it up. I Still Believe in the Black Church. Gift it to somebody. Thank you, Courtney A. Brown. She said this book was awesome. Gift the book to somebody that you know just became the president or CEO, or somebody that you know just became a pastor of a church. This is a great gift. Make sure you show up for them and give them this book. I'm going to keep it moving. We had Dr. Thema Bryant, author of Homecoming. And when I tell you that this wonderful doctor, truly mental health therapist, was able to really help us and to really help grow us and to help us evolve and move forward. Such a powerful book. If you haven't read Homecoming, get it together. Find somebody to read the book with and read the book. But what you really want to do is go back and hear our conversation. So powerful. This is the sister of Dr. Jamal Bryant, and a powerful woman of God. This book is life-changing. This book is healing. I have read this book cover to cover twice already. It's healing. It's a healing book. It's a healing balm in this book. I encourage you to get this book. We're moving on into July. And so we know that a lot of things happen go from June going into July. And so we talked about Roe versus Wade. We know that the Supreme Court overturned, and we had Bishop-elect Andrea Vassell, Program Director for TFAM Global. We had Dr. Willie Parker, OBGYN and Reproductive Justice Advocate. And we had Reverend Katie Zay, CEO of Religious Coalition for Reproductive Justice. Dr. Katie Zay also has a book. And I'll tell you that this was a powerful conversation. People was in it to win it. I want you to share this conversation with other people, because I'll tell you that we still need to talk about what's happening, what we're going to do, and how we're going to do it. We still need to talk about that. We need to talk about abortion. People cringe, people get upset, people just, but we got to have some real conversations, because there are some women's lives who are in jeopardy. They are in jeopardy of losing their life in other states and other places. And we there's a whole bunch of information that we give. We can't regurgitate it all, but we want to make sure that you listen to this conversation and you get Reverend Katie Zay's book as well. I believe also Dr. Willie Parker also has a book, and that you get his book as well as we move forward. Prophetic Ministry in the Digital Age. We were at TFAM, and we were able to have Master Prophet, Archbishop Bernard Jordan, Brother Larry Reed, Bishop Pearson, Bishop Flunder. And it was a powerful conversation. When you get a chance, please go and make sure that you listen in on everything that had to be said in that conversation. Have we got good religion? Again, Reverend Katie Zay's book is called The Complicated Choice. We had her, we did an interview with her, Making Space for Grief and Healing in the Pro-Choice Movement. And she sheds a lot of light, particularly coming from an evangelical world. And I want you all to get the book, because sometimes we don't know what we don't know, but if we open up a book and we can get that information. Information is power. Information is power. August 2022. We had the distinct pleasure and honor of having Lisa Sharon Harper, founder and president of Freedom Roll. She has a book called Fortune, How Race Broke My Family in the World and How to Repair It All. Listen, if you had a chance to get this book, it is a great book. It's a great study. It's a great group study. And she talks about it all. She talks about the enslavement of African Americans. The enslavement of Africans. She talks about the white supremacy. She talks about white nationalism. She talks about her family. She breaks it all the way down about her family and their roots. Like, again, there's, so many stories in this one story, and so many things that we can identify with when we read it. She talks about, when she says how to repair it all, she's talking about reparations. And she talks about reparations, and she digs down deep into it and why we should have it. And so I encourage you all on tonight to make sure that you get Lisa Sharon Harper's book. And then we had The Power Worshippers in August. Inside the Dangerous Rise of Religious Nationalism with Catherine Stewart. And boy, oh boy, she just turns it on its head. She tilts the scale. You want to know what's really going on? She tells us what's going on with white folks and why they acting the way they acting and what's going on. We know too, but she put it in a book. Listen, so I know the folks is after her. We encourage you. We support this book and we support her as an author. The Power Worshippers, Inside the Dangerous Rise of Religious Nationalism. Somebody said, well, I need to know all of this. You need to know all of this because it matters, because it's about us, right? And we need to have a strategy and we need to have a plan, and you need to be a part of these group discussions. Go back and hear this conversation. Again, another powerful conversation. August 17th, we had my dear brother, Dr. Willie Duane Francois III, Silencing White Noise, 6 Practices to Overcome Our Inaction on Race. And when I tell you that this brother breaks it down, he also breaks it down. This brother, you can just bring him in any setting. He is a theologian and a scholar, and he will work with your congregation. He will work with your community-based organization. He will work with you in developing and speaking about and teaching on these practices, 6 practices to overcome our inaction on race. Yes, see, Antonia, you read the book. Read the book. It is a powerful book. It is a gift to any pastor, any leader, any person. Isn't he brilliant? Such a brilliant brother. God bless you, Dr. Willie Duane Francois III, and I encourage you all to get his book. And another dear friend of ours, Dr. Carrie L. Day, has a book, Azusa Reimagined, a radical vision of religious and democratic belonging. Just another powerful book. She talks about Azusa, but she talks about Azusa Reimagined, and how we can. She has a radical vision. She paints the picture, right? And she paints it so beautifully using many, many colors. A powerful womanist theologian. She is a professor at Princeton Theological Seminary in Princeton, New Jersey. And you really, really, really want to go back and listen to what we had to talk about. And you also want to get the book. You also want, yes, Courtney Brown, powerful, powerful conversation. And as we move through the month of August, and we're about to tie this up, Beyond the Gatekeepers was with Psalms for Black Lives, Reflections for the Work of Liberation. This is a young couple from New York City. They are powerful. Dr. Gabby Cujo Wilkes and Reverend Andrew Wilkes. We've had Reverend Andrew preach for us several times. But this book is a blessing. And you're going to want to read this book again. You bring these young people to your church. This is something that we keep talking about, how we're going to revive the church, what we're going to do. You got to start bringing some of these young people to your church. Some of these young people like Dante and Gabby and Andrew and all of them, because they're talking about what young people want to know about. And so they did their work around these reflections in these Psalms. And it's such a powerful devotional, and they are such a powerful couple, and I love them both. I encourage you to get the book. Get the book. You can use it for your own daily meditation, your own daily devotion. Get the book. Get it for yourself. Get it for your pastor. Get it for somebody. Get it for one of the mothers of the church. But get the book. Thank you. September, we're rolling in, coming down to the wire. We had my good friend, Dr. Simranjeet Singh. He's the executive director of Religion and Society program at the Aspen Institute. And he has a book called The Light We Give, How Seek Wisdom Can Transform Your Life. He talks about the light we give because he has the light. It shines so brightly through him. It emanates from him. He is a powerful brother, and he gives us such wonderful seek wisdom. I was blessed to be in conversation with him. I'm blessed to know him. He talks about his children. He talks about his way of life. He talks about things that he has gone through in America as a Sikh. And I want you all to be able to, we need to be able to embrace. We need to be able to stretch out. We need to be, it needs to be, we talk about Christianity a lot, but, we need to understand interfaith religions, and we need to understand other people. And he is a light. And this book is so powerful. I hope that just on general principle that you can get this book for your library. Moving into October, we did Honk for Jesus. That was a movie. We discussed the film. One week we had Candice Marie Bimbo and Marlon Milner. And then another week we had Margaret L. Conley, Reverend Dr. Eric Thomas, and again, Marlon Milner. If you didn't see the movie, watch the movie, then go back and listen to our commentary. That's what I'm going to say about that. Watch Beyond the Gatekeepers, or listen to it on Spotify, and then well, make sure you watch the movie first and then listen and watch. And if you got something to say about it, if you go into our comment sections, I can always go back and see what you have to say. This was a powerful conversation. And then we had Reverend Danielle J. Bahuro. Reverend Dr. Danielle J. Bahuro was with us. She's the executive director and lead CPE supervisor for Sankofa CPE Center. And she has a book called Spiritual Care in an Age of Black Lives Matter. Spiritual Care in an Age of Black Lives Matter. Powerful, powerful, powerful book. Doing great work around CPE and chaplaincy, which we have been talking about, it becoming an ordainable call. And the conversation is rich in this particular session. I need you all to make sure that you get this book. She covered it from A to Z. She talked about the chaplains who were working during the pandemic, folks getting burned out. So much is happening, but she keeps it on track. And I'm telling you, chaplains are underrated. That's all I have to say. And chaplaincy should be an ordainable call. These denominations need to get their life correct, get their life right, because this is some serious work. The work of a chaplain in hospice and hospitals, and even just being doulas, in terms of dying, even it's a powerful work going on. It cannot be denied, right? They out here doing more than most pastors do. Now I know that that's a threatening thing that I just said. I said they out here doing more than most pastors do, but I'm telling the truth, okay? And so we want to encourage you all to get this book, Spiritual Care in an Age of Black Lives Matter. We had the Reverend Dr. John C. Dorhauer, General Minister and President of the United Church of Christ, along with Reverend Darrell Goodwin, Executive Conference Minister of the Southern New England Conference of the United Church of Christ. And we titled it, For Such a Time as This, The Relevance of the Progressive Church in Endemic Times. And everybody talking about progressive church, progressive church, progressive church. But I don't know if folks is really doing progressive church. I think we're doing more talking about it than we are doing progressive church. So we have this conversation. You need to listen, pick up some of the nuggets from it. Maybe you can use it as a pastor. Maybe you could take it back to your pastor, to your congregation, to help move you all forward as well. Because if you think that church is still going to be the same post-pandemic, right? They keep saying post-pandemic and people still catching COVID-19 and still being sick and still being hospitalized. But if you think church is going to be the same, I came to tell you tonight that it is not going to be the same, and you want to hear this conversation. We have The Rebellious Life of Mrs. Rosa Parks, yet another film, documentary that we were able to see, and we were able to have award-winning documentary filmmaker Yoruba Richin on with us. And I'll tell you, it's powerful. She talks about the life of Mrs. Rosa Parks. There are so many things that you do not know about Rosa Parks. everything that she's ever been depicted in has been this docile woman who just gave, who didn't want to give up her seat because she was tired. But there's so much more to the story. I'm not going to jack it up by telling you everything. Go watch the film. It's powerful. After you watch the film, then listen to the conversation. November's here. We're almost coming to the wire. We did 3 segments of Hold On and Let Go. Conversations in Black lives. Nope. Conversations in Blackness and evolving worship traditions. And I'll tell you, we had a bevy of people. The conversation came about because of Reverend Kendall Brown and something he posted. I saw it and I said, this is a conversation for Beyond the Gatekeepers. I invited Bishop-elect Troy and Dr. Tony McNeil one week. And then for the following week, we invited Reverend Lisa Allen McLaurin, who was a friend of Dr. Tony McNeil's, and also Bishop-elect Troy's. And we had them for the next 2 weeks. And it was a powerful conversation about hold on and let go. Listen, I need you all to make sure that you go back to that series. It was tremendous. Yes, it was, Colette. I thank you. If you didn't hear it, if you didn't get a chance, it's something that you definitely want to revisit. And the month of December, here we are. And we had, if you did, All Boys Aren't Blue. Now, this is a book. It is a book by a brother named George. What is George's last name? I can't think of George's last name right now. But Nathan Hale Williams, president and CEO of Inhale Entertainment, decided to take some excerpts from George's book and make it into a film. And the film also has it has so many great people in it. I want you to watch the film. You can watch it. All Boys Aren't Blue. And then listen to the conversation. Listen to what Nathan Hale has to say. Powerful conversation that we had with Nathan. Nathan talked about his own life, his father being a pastor, his father not wanting him to be gay. His mother said that if he was going to be gay, that he'd rather have a dead son than a gay son. And the mother was not having any of it. And she divorced the man and they left that church. And I told somebody when we were talking, I said, you can do what his mother did. Make a decision for the life of your child. She said she did not like the doctrine, she did not like the theology, and so she jetted because she knew who her son was and what he was going to become. And she was not going to have anybody beating up on her son. He grew up in an affirming environment, which is not always the case. And so they tell this, George M. Johnson, thank you. They tell this story because George also grew up in an affirming house with an affirming father. And so we need to hear, the book needs to be read. It's one of the books that's also being banned. It's one of the books that's also being banned. So that's another reason why you want to get this book. But then you also want to see the film as well, and you want to go to the playback of this. And then on last week, we had Reverend Dr. Jackie Lewis, Fierce Love, A Bold Path to Ferocious Courage and Rule-Breaking Kindness That Can Heal the World. I can tell you, I wanted to break down so many times on last week when Jackie Lewis was talking. So powerful. She brought us to the edge of night, but then brought us back. And, talked about walking in the darkness and just so powerful. You need to go get the book, Fierce Love, but go back and listen to the conversation that we had on last week. Very real, very authentic. And I really, really appreciated that conversation on last week. And great past that middle collegiate as well. Blessings. So that's it. That was our year in review. This is our 117th episode, and we are still here because you are here with us, because you've given and you've supported us. I do have one announcement to make. This is from Bishop Barber. He asked Bishop Flunder. He's doing a Christmas Eve sermon. No War, a Moral Call for a Christmas Truce. And it's going to be December 24th, Christmas Eve at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard. You could go to breachrepairers.org, on live stream. Now, I know we got a few commercials for you. Let me get to them so that we can say goodnight to you. Thank you for a great year. We had a great year because of you. You helped us to have a great year because you support us. And I know and I believe that God is going to keep taking us higher and higher. Yes, Beyond the Gatekeepers keeps going from strength to strength and from glory to glory. Hallelujah. We give God praise. Thank you, Desiree. Thank you so much. We appreciate you. Yes, thank you, Bishop-elect Sonia. Thank you, Deacon. Thank you, Courtney. Thank you, thank you, thank you, all of you. Marlene, Maria, Cheryl, I see you all. And we're going to take a break. And we're going to come back in the new year. We've got some great, great, great artists ready for you, authors ready for you, filmmakers ready for you. And so we're grateful. And so we hope that you keep supporting us, keep coming on. Yeah, keep telling people thank you. Dr. Jamie Edie Chisholm, I need to speak to you. Please inbox me. I don't have your number. Shoot me an inbox so that I can have a conversation with you. Thank you. Thank you, everyone, so much. I think we're going to show some commercials, yes? Beyond the Gatekeepers, we appreciate your support. We ask that you could continue to support us. Those that gave on last week, because Bishop Flunder gave the appeal, we appreciate it. We ask that you keep giving. Our 117th episode, you can give to us via Cash App at $TFAM Annual or to PayPal at www.paypal.me/forward TFAM Justice. We're so grateful for that. Thank you so much. Again, TFAM Holy Convocation, Miracle Signs and Wonders. We're going to be in Atlanta, Georgia, July 5th through the 9th. You can get all the information on our app. Download the TFAM app. It's going to tell you about registration. It's going to tell you about accommodations. It's going to tell you about key events. We want you to come and be with us in Atlanta. Thank you, Bullet and Flight Radio. We appreciate you. Again, you can listen to Beyond the Gatekeepers on Bullet and Flight Radio. Rim Fellowship, United Church of Christ, Bishop-elect Sonia E. Williams. I want to just give you all a shout out. You all have been faithful to us since we've been on. And so we're grateful to you all for your support. Join Rim Tuesday nights for Bible study, Wednesday for morning prayer. And you can visit their website at www.rimatl.org to find out more about their church. They have church every Sunday at 1 o'clock, and all are welcome. Thank you again, Bishop-elect Sonia. We have Antonio Mattier, Lifestyle Realtor. Donate to your church. Give to your church while accomplishing your goal of home ownership. Lifestyle Global Properties will donate 10% of the commission earned from your real estate transaction to your choice of COR or TFAM in your name when you utilize their brokerage to purchase or sell a property, residential or commercial, in California or in Georgia. And you can check out Antonio Mattier by going to his email, antonio@antoniomattier.com, or you can visit his website, and his website is www.antoniomattier.com. Thank you so much for your support. We have the Healing Place Apothecary, where Nubian Flunder is the LAC and founder. She has her own company, and you can get products in that company. You can get daily greens, black soap, rose water, raw shave souffle, root oil, daily fruit. Go to her website, www.thp, which stands for The Healing Place Apothecary.com. That's www.thpapothecary.com. Then you can also buy a t-shirt. Go to Sky Michelle's Tees and Things at www.skymichelle.com, where the kid is a boss. Many people have asked me. You can follow her on Facebook or Instagram at I am Sky Michelle. You can buy t-shirts of all kinds for everything. They even do customization. Make sure you look up the kid. Happy holidays from Beyond the Gatekeepers. We'll see you in 2023. Bishop Yvette A. Flunder, Bishop Carlton D. Pearson, and myself, Bishop-elect Vanessa M. Brown, also from Pastor Sue. God bless you. Happy holidays. God bless.